Welcome to Getting Down to Business. I'm Ashley Curtis, career counselor and internship coordinator with the Muma College of Business. And this is my co-host, career counselor and academic advisor, Jill Brown.
Thanks, Ashley. And we are so excited today. We have two guests on the set from the Innovative Scholars Program here to talk more about that. So I'm just going to throw it right to you.
Thank you. My name is Casey Coves. I'm the manager of the Innovation Scholars Program here at USF St. Petersburg campus. And I also have one of our students today.
Hi, I'm Belle Jones. I'm a senior here at USFSP. I also work for the Career Center, and I was in Innovation Scholars.
Wonderful. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. So first thing we want to ask you is, Belle, I'll start with you. Do you have a favorite quote or a self-care practice that you like?
Yeah, for sure. My favorite quote right now is definitely Well-Behaved Women Seldom Make History by Margaret Thatcher Ulrich. It's just, I love it right now.
I love that.
That's great. So for me, I'm thinking about self-care and recharging batteries, going outside, getting in touch with nature, getting away from screens is a really good way for me to reset.
Yeah. Getting away from that screen time.
Who needs to get away from a screen?
Everybody.
In front of a computer. I mean, my gosh. Yeah.
More podcast time.
Thank you for bringing that up. Nobody said that. So, yeah. All right. We also have a little word association game. So whatever pops into your head, and we will alternate with each of you. Yeah, no pressure. Casey, I'll go to you first.
Okay.
The word is empathy.
I think of taking care of students.
Okay.
Trying to understand the student's point of view so that I can help support them in their career exploration and development.
Yeah.
Belle, catalyst.
I definitely think of like a scientific reaction, like something in the lab where you put one thing in and it makes the other thing blow up.
I love that.
Yeah. Casey, back to you. Respect.
Ooh. Aretha Franklin.
Right?
Right.
That song comes right into my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And Belle, success.
I definitely think success to me is equal to happiness. So I definitely think of like general well-being and being happy when I think of success.
Wonderful.
Right. That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is your happiness. Success is individual.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you all for playing. And now we want to get down to business. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about the Innovation Scholars Program, when, how it all began.
Oh, okay. Well, it started in the fall of 2019. That was the first group of students, and it was started by Dr. Martin Tadlock, our chancellor at the time. And we wanted a way for our first time in college students, what used to be called freshmen, but are often coming to us with the junior level status because they earned their associate's degree in dual enrollment in high school. So we wanted a way for these students to get a jump start on their career exploration. They only have a few years with us. They're very academically focused. And so we need to also help them explore careers and get into that exploration really quickly. So that's what this program was created for and to serve that purpose. The first year, so fall of 2019, we had 25 students participate.
Wow.
And
quite a bit for a pilot.
Yeah, that was a big pilot.
Yeah.
And I started with the program this spring of 2020. And of course, we all know what happened in the spring of 2020.
What? I know.
Yeah, the students were in their second semester mentorship program, so they continued in the spring, but everything was kind of put on hold at that point. And so we restarted it again in the fall.
Okay.
So now we're entering our fourth year. Yes. God. Wow. Fourth year for the program.
That's wonderful.
And Belle, you were a participant, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I joined Innovation Scholars fall of 2021. I was also like a lot of the freshmen and first time in college to where I basically graduated high school with my associate's degree. And so I was coming in a lot further in my degree than a lot of my peers were. And the Innovation Scholars Program definitely helped me get a better perspective on what I needed to do for my career and kind of how I needed to switch my focus from school. Because when you're in high school, you're only really focusing on college, and then you go to college.
What's the next step?
Yeah,
What's
you go
the
to
next
college,
step,
like,
right?
You're only thinking about college, and then you get to college, and you're like, okay, what is the next thing?
Yeah.
And then Innovation Scholars kind of like takes you in and says, okay, this is the next thing. We're going to help you with it. we're going to get you through this and make it a positive experience.
So really good for that transition, it sounds like.
Yep, and to help them, by connecting with a mentor from their professional field of interest, get to test out that field a little bit,
Right.
And explore maybe adjacent fields or learn about opportunities they didn't even know existed in the labor market. So many of us start college with their ideal career is something they explored through the media. Something they saw in film or read about in
Back
books.
to that screen time again.
Well, I mean, even
Just
I can remember reading a lot of Robert Ludlum novels and then wanting to be an international woman of mystery
Yes.
and going to school for my, degree in international relations and not really putting anything together right away. So this program is intended to give the students exposure to their target career field, to test it out a little bit before they go too far down that path, so that if they need to, they can change their major if they need to, or take a pivot and explore something else in the spring too. So we consider it a success if the student discovers this isn't what I thought it was and it isn't a good fit for me. That is also a success for our students.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes we have students that when they think, this wasn't what I expected, it didn't meet my expectations, and now I'm making that pivot, we often look at it as failure.
Right.
And so I think it's really good to look at it like, no, now you know what you don't want.
Right.
So,
And that's what we've been talking about through multiple podcasts is exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself into positions to experience a variety. So because the easiest way to check something off is, ooh, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It's harder to figure out what you like or what's really going to be that future.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you what industry were you mentoring and who was your mentor? You don't have to say their name.
So my my mentor was Major Shannon Halstead with the St. Pete Police Department. She is absolutely amazing. Definitely like one of those hero women that you read about. She is awesome. She gave me a lot of really good opportunities to see a lot of different things in the police department and see kind of the different career opportunities that weren't necessarily like at the forefront of my mind at the time when I first got here. And it's really interesting just to see, because you get into college and you think of this one thing that you could do and you don't realize that there's so many other things that are just like that thing, but a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah.
And you do picture, you have this vision of what it's going to look like, but the true behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So how many hours a day, week would you spend or month maybe with your mentor?
So when I did it, we did 6 hours over the course of the semester.
Okay.
So it kind of allowed for a lot of leeway between me and Major Halstead because she obviously has a super, super busy schedule. So it provided a lot of leeway and time for us to be able to like schedule out well in advance when we wanted to do. I talked to the forensic people at the St. Pete Police Department. I saw a firearms demonstration there too. It was really cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you feel you pulled from this experience? I mean, this was obviously an area of interest, right?
Yes.
And then did it solidify or?
It definitely showed me the gravity of the type of work that I want to do. I mean, like you understand doing forensics is going to be a really big deal. And then you see it and then you go, and then, I'm talking to her and you see like how it affects other people's lives and really like how big of a deal it is. And it really kind of solidified with me that when I first got to college, my like kind of goal was I want to be a crime scene technician. That's what I want to do. I want to show up to the scene, deal with the nasty stuff and leave. And then when I was with her, I kind of realized like that probably isn't something, I mean, I would like to do it probably eventually, but it wouldn't be something that would fuel me on a day-to-day basis because it's very like methodical. There's not a whole lot of critical thinking involved. And I'm very like social and I like talking to people. And that's not a really like super social job where you're doing a lot of talking.
Right. Yeah.
That's important to learn. So kind of pivoting gears, and we've started talking a little bit about this, but can you tell us who can join and go more in depth into what the application process looks like?
Sure. So this program is geared right now to first-time in college students. This is what we used to call freshmen. And students are invited to join before they've even registered for classes in their first semester. Wow. So in the late spring, of their high school senior year, they're invited to apply. The deadline is usually June 1st for applications, and the application is online. Students have to be able to describe what they want to gain from the mentorship, a few career fields that they're considering or would like to explore through this program. There's a short essay portion to complete, and then they're required to meet with me individually to talk more about their expectations for the program and their interests, both their major and their career thoughts, and so that I can get an idea of the best possible mentor to find for them. So that happens in June. I do those meetings in June, and then in July and August, I'm recruiting mentors for the students, and the program kicks off the third or fourth week into the fall semester. So it's students who are starting in either the summer or the fall, and this is their first time in college, can apply. Now, eventually, we hope to have this program available for all USF St. Pete students, and it's been growing. But right now, our capacity is about 70 students. So
Still
wow.
25 to 70 now.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's where
It's
we're
exciting.
at right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, we'd love to have every student that comes into USF St. Petersburg to get a mentor
Okay.
through this program.
Can you also talk about the application process for folks interested in becoming a mentor?
So we tend to recruit mentors by invitation.
Okay.
But sometimes we have individuals who reach out and say, I really want to connect with students on an individual level. I really want to help students in a one-on-one basis, and then we'll ask them to fill out the application as well. So there is an application available on our webpage, and interested community members are invited to fill that out. This program started as a collaboration with the Innovation District, which is in downtown St. Pete. It's the area that's in the immediate vicinity of the campus. When COVID happened, we shifted to an entirely virtual program. And so we accepted mentors that were all over, not necessarily restricted to the Innovation District. And so now that we're back in person, we're mostly in the Innovation District for our mentors, but some mentors are still working virtually. Or if we have a student with a really unique interest, like I have a television screenwriting student this year, then I may have to find someone who can only mentor virtually because they're out of state, perhaps. So,
Great.
And just speaking of this whole application process, so I have to ask you, Belle, what prompted you to go ahead and like apply, do the essay?
I thought it was really interesting that it was getting like real life exposure to the career that you're studying, and it's really hard to get that if you don't have like an official internship or something like that. And it was really interesting that they even offered something like that to freshmen.
Right.
And so I was really, really excited. And so that's what made me go to do it, because I knew that I was going to be kind of fast tracked through college necessarily with like the way I was thinking about my career.
And I mean, to think about finding your own mentor, I mean, was that even something in your head?
Yeah, it wasn't even something that I had even thought about when I was going to college. It wasn't even like, oh, I'll just go to college and this is fine, and I guess I'll graduate with this degree and then we'll figure it out.
Right.
And it really helped having someone like in the field that I was studying who understood like kind of the concepts that I was learning about and could have like conversations with me about things that I was learning about, which I really liked.
I should say we do also have a spring start program.
Okay.
So if students didn't get into the fall start program, maybe they missed the deadline or something, if they are starting that summer, fall, or even starting in the spring of the current application cycle, they can apply for the spring. Those applications come out in October and are due in November.
Okay.
So,
and then of course we want to ask, so I'm dying to know with mentors and matching how that works. And I mean, USF has a million different majors and minors. So how does that all?
Well, I don't match on the major so much as that essay question, what are your career interests, and also that conversation that I have with the students about like, what are you thinking? What would be the kind of the ideal background of the mentor that you would like to be connected with, and then we go from there. And
Mm-hmm.
it really tends to be almost a campus-wide effort
Mhm.
of, okay, who do you know?
Do you know anybody?
Yeah, do you
right?
know anybody who does this? I still work closely with Allison Barlow, who's the head of the Innovation District, and Karen Neesmith, who was the
Mhm.
first director for the program. And we collaborate to find mentors. Sometimes we have mentors who participated in the past who are a good fit, but the majority of our mentors we recruit newly every semester.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Belle, you talked a little bit about setting up time to meet with your mentor. Can you talk a little bit between the both of you, program logistics and what the expectations are for the program in the sense of time expectations?
Yeah, so during our when we did the kickoff for Innovation Scholars, it was over Zoom. And so the expectation is that the students were in control of like reaching out to the mentors. We were in charge of we had to take charge of what we wanted to do with them. Like we were not allowed, we were told not to wait around for them to email us. We were the ones that had to take the initiative
Mhm.
and go and talk to them and figure out a time that worked for them. And it was definitely that alone was a learning experience,
Right.
because just it was nerve-wracking
I'd be
trying
nervous,
to
yeah.
email someone that you had never talked to before, who's way more professional than you, way more educated than you. That was a whole stressful adventure in itself, but it really was a good learning experience on how to reach out to people that you've never
Mhm.
talked to or seen to in person before, and call them on the phone even though you've never talked to them. And it was a really good experience, really good learning.
I'm curious for you in that process, what was a takeaway for you from that?
My takeaway was that emails mean a lot more than you think they do. You really need to stay on top of it, because if you miss one,
Mhm.
it's gonna get past you, and then once it's gone, once it's buried in the email, it's gone.
Yes, that's true.
I remember and one of the big lessons that I learned was professionalism, how to word emails not so
Mhm.
casually. And I remember calling my parents and being like, "You please help me with this. I feel like I sound too hey, how are you? Want to hang out?" It needs to not be like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lesson in professionalism.
Great. I love that.
And it's so good to learn this so early and help smooth that transition as you continue to grow and evolve within the academic side and your professional side.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. No.
And I think, just to kind of validate that for you, I think that's something we see so many students struggle with, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons why with the College of Business, we offer a business skills and practice course, because it helps our students learn some of those basic, general etiquette, right? And there's so many other resources on campus where if you're looking to develop those skills, because those are the soft skills that are so important when you enter the work field, that we often don't talk about, but that make a big difference.
And I feel also developing those soft skills communication and just weird little things that help you in the professional workplace that I knew nothing about, and Innovation Scholars helped me get into that professional world.
I think forcing a real world interaction like that versus an assignment in a class where write an email.
I agree.
Oh, okay. But when you're really putting yourself out there on the
Yeah.
line to this employer, to this professional, then it's a lot different.
Yeah, because it is. I mean, it was very stressful, because in my mind, it was very much so this person could very well be my boss one day. She very well could be in charge of me one day.
Right.
It's
You want to
very
put out a
likely.
good example from the
Yeah,
school.
exactly. And it's also one of those things of developing your own professional
persona.
persona.
Yeah.
Exactly, developing who you are in the workplace. Before, I've never really had a traditional office job, so it was interesting getting into that workplace and seeing the environment.
And that's a good point you bring up too, seeing your mentor in their role, in that position, in the environment. Is this the type? And then, how should I be acting? If this is the path I want to take, it's kind of setting you up for that.
Yeah.
And then where you can design
Yeah.
your own portfolio and
Mhm.
professionalism there.
Yeah, and I also I learned by observing a lot, so it was really interesting for me to like sit in meetings or the firearms demonstration that I saw and just see like the mannerisms of everybody, how
Mhm.
everybody handled themselves, how professional it was, and just things like that.
Yeah. And I mean,
Interesting.
most of us are very visual and observational like that versus just reading it and just,
Mm.
oh, light
Yeah.
bulb. That
Right.
makes
Yeah.
sense. No,
Yeah.
both applications.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing. That's awesome.
Casey, do you have any other things you want to add to that? And then maybe I would also ask if you have any expectations of the mentors
Mhm.
that you want to tag on to.
Sure. So the time commitment that we ask of the mentors is 6 hours total for the semester. So we ask them to meet with their student for at least 2 hours a month for 3 months. And again, it's not an internship. It's not a
Mhm.
long commitment like that. It's just an opportunity to talk with a professional that is in your field of interest, get some advice, hear their career story, get introduced to other professionals in an adjacent or even a dissimilar field that might be of interest to you, and to also observe in the workplace the interactions. So while it's not a big time commitment, we're hoping that the students get a lot out of it. We ask the mentor to explain their career story to the student, because one of the things we want students to see is that career paths are very seldom a straight line.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
Yeah. So to understand that there are going to be loops and backwards and tracks and going, in a circle sometimes in your
Mhm.
job, and that's okay. There isn't a single way to get from A to B in your career development. We also ask that the mentors provide some feedback to their mentees in terms of things like professionalism, or where they see strengths and where they see some opportunities to improve on. And that's essentially what we ask the mentors to do. I think one of the most valuable things that the student can get from that is introductions, to start building their professional network, because every person they meet, they can go and talk to that person, hear their career story, get advice from that individual, and then ask that person, anyone else that you think I should talk to?
Yeah.
And just continue to start flexing those networking muscles, start developing that skill as a freshman.
And it sounds like you were able to do that when you mentioned you saw the forensics, you saw the firing range,
Yeah.
you were behind the scenes, you were in meetings. So you're seeing this whole, which sometimes you wouldn't see
Yep, that's
necessarily in an internship. Even.
Yeah. I want to add on to what you said about career stories. That was definitely really, really helpful for me, hearing that a lot of people didn't originally intend to be in the field that they are in, or this wasn't originally like exactly what they planned to do, or just the different journeys of people and how everybody's is a little bit different. So if mine's not like super straight and forward like I always thought it was going to be, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Casey, because I know you're very strategic and very intentional in when you're partnering mentors and mentees. And as I hear your story, with your mentorship, one of the things I think about is, how often do we see women in mentorship roles? And I'm wondering, as you look at placing, students, do you think about things like that so that, because, when we look at studies, right, there's a lot of fields where it's really beneficial for women looking to go into a field to see a woman in that role.
I do think about those things, and I've spoken with other universities who or other professionals at universities who manage programs like this, and some match on more demographics than career interests. So I'm just we're constantly fine tuning the program and trying to decide if should we ask students other more demographic questions, and then to prioritize their interests, like where do we want to, would you rather match on something other than career interests? Like I've had mentors who've requested a specific gender, a specific race, a specific identity, and so we'll try and match those interests. So I think we should probably be asking those questions of the students. It's just difficult too, in that we're right now a one-person show. And so I don't have software or something that I could use to maybe create an algorithm and can help me rack and stack the priorities of each individual that's involved in this. And we know not every mentor and mentee are going to be hit it off right away. That's just the nature of human beings. And so I'm available to coach students through any headways that they hit in this process. And something, I role play with students that phone message that they want to leave, or help them draft that first email, but also kind of troubleshoot with them if they're having any sort of personality issue or time constraints with their mentor.
Well, I think you bring up a good point in the sense of resources that are available at USF, not even just within your office, but within the College of Business and across USF. So when students need something proofread, or as you're starting to develop your resume now and you want to add this experience and exposure to it, how can you do that? What would it look like? And just making sure students realize what we have available for their career growth and development. So,
The career office really does. They really do a lot. I just signed on with the career office to start working there as a career peer. I'm really, really excited. And they do so much for the students, and it really is I feel like it's so important to talk to the career center at least 2 years before you graduate. Start talking to somebody, even if you're not help me look for a job, just be hey,
just help.
I'm graduating soon. What do you think? What do you think I could be doing right now? Just get some ideas. Everybody in there is really helpful. We're all super nice, and we all just want to help.
Yeah, we just want to support our students.
Having the experiences that you've had, gives you credibility to talk to the students about this. That's and true. That you actually were in their shoes. You've put yourself out there. You've taken some risks. Things were not as perfect or exact as you thought, but that's what the support is here for. What were you going to say?
I was just thinking that, even the most seasoned professional would feel a little nervous writing that email or leaving that.
I still, to this day, I'm Ashley, read this.
So I do try to relate that to our students, what you're feeling, that anxiety around that initial communication with your mentor or going to that first meeting, that is completely normal. And that discomfort is okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. We can talk about what to expect and managing those expectations and how to put your best foot forward, but also you have to be comfortable with that discomfort too. That's how we're growing, right? Yeah. That's what they tell us.
You gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah. I love that. Before we wrap up, we have 2 final questions for you all, but I wanted to leave you, because Jill's right, we've covered a lot today. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with our listeners?
I know. I was just thinking about I know this was an idea from the chancellor, but obviously, did you have some background or experience with this, or you're just I'm going to dive in? I would assume you kind of had some passion for some type of mentoring.
I thought it was a very interesting program, and it would be something that I hadn't managed before. I've been in higher ed for about 20 years. I've been a career coach for about 15. So I did want to do something that was maybe a little bit different. And I really do believe in that idea of exposure early and trying things out. Just try something out early in your career is just the best way to kind of figure out, is this is right for me? Is it not? What pieces of this are right for me? How can I get more of that in my next adventure, next thing that I do? So that's what interested me in the program. I don't have a background in mentorship. And so I created this little ad hoc committee of all the program managers in mentorship programs across universities in Tampa and then throughout Florida and Georgia. It's become this whole big thing now. But we just meet once a semester and just talk about our programs and problems that we have and troubleshoot together. And so that's helped.
But that's awesome.
Yeah,
across
that's been fun.
State lines.
Yeah, because there weren't a lot of resources and I didn't have any experience. So I thought I need to pick the brains of people who've been doing this a little bit longer than I have. Yeah.
I like what you said about just try it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, or someone told me, a lot of figuring out of what you want to do is a lot of figuring out what you don't want to do. Yeah. So if you just try it, see what happens.
Mhm.
You never know.
Right. It's not the end of the world if you don't like it. At least you figured out that
Yeah.
much. you
Yeah.
know?
Check. You don't like this one.
Right. Good.
What would you say has been the greatest benefit for doing the mentor program?
Just confidence. I've gained so much confidence when it comes to like professionalism, communication. I'm more confident about like what I want to do in my field right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Great.
Love it.
That's
Love
really
it.
great.
All right.
So, final 2 questions for you. If you could go back in time and give so Casey, for you, your college self, Belle, for you, I'm going to say maybe your first year prior to coming into college, what advice would you give yourself?
You want me to start?
Sure.
So I will confess, I never met with a career counselor and I never met with an academic advisor
Says the career coach.
as
Oh
an
my
undergraduate.
gosh.
No. So I'm trekking along, going to be an international woman of mystery, until my senior year. And then I was like, ruh-roh. There are not a lot of jobs called international woman of mystery out there. So I do wish that I had met with an academic advisor, and I wish that I had met with a career counselor. I will say I have seen this a lot in undergraduate students throughout my career is I wish I had taken more chances and applied for internships and other things that I didn't feel qualified for. I think that a lot of students feel that way, that they don't. Just go ahead and apply for something, even if you're not a perfect match for it,
Mhm.
because so many students don't. Like the competition is not as stiff as you think.
What's that quote? You always
Yeah.
miss 100% of the shots you never take.
That's
kind
right.
of thing.
That's
yeah.
right.
Anyway.
Like last year,
Oh,
that
yeah.
one, like it was this random thing. It was for the Department of Defense. I found it like the day before it was due, and then I got it.
The internship.
Yeah, the internship, I got it.
Whoa. How was that? Like, wait a second.
I didn't end up doing it because
Okay.
they wanted me to move to Pennsylvania in the middle of nowhere, but
Yeah.
whole other story.
It's a housing.
Okay.
Housing.
We'll
It was a
couch
housing
that.
issue.
But it
We'll
was,
couch
it was a
that.
great. Yeah.
No, it was really like, and it was a good experience of how to like apply for federal jobs on USA Jobs and how to be interviewed by like 5 people. Like
Pretty intensive, right?
really,
Yeah.
like, and the Career Center just helped me so much. I went in there for like mock interviews. It was great.
Free plug. Career advice for yourself, or if you could go, back
Oh.
first year.
I would say I would definitely go back and I would go and be more bold, take more chances, do the things that I was scared to do.
Mm.
Right? Don't we all
Yeah.
wish we could go back a little bit?
Yeah,
Just a little
just a
bit.
little bit.
All right. Well, if students want to contact either of you, what's the best way?
Okay. My email is KKO, B like Bravo, S like Sierra at usf.edu. That's KKOBS at usf.edu. You can also find innovation scholars on the USF St. Petersburg Career Services website. So that's stpetersburg.edu, stpetersburg.usf.edu/careers.
Excellent.
Yeah, and my email, if you have any questions, is Belle Monroe Jones, BELLE Monroe, like the president, and then just Jones.
Is that at USF?
At USF, yes.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you guys for joining us. This has been
Thanks for having
fantastic.
us.
Super learning. Love your story.
Yeah.
You seem super excited and you're about to graduate, and I hope we can somehow keep ties with you with our alumni network, right?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Make sure to tune in to Getting Down to Business. We'll see you soon.